we just got back from Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
and Egypt, I don't know if you talked about it on other podcasts, but it
Only
was
a
all
little bit.
about
Mm-hmm.
the throat chakra,
Yeah.
and really activating and opening the throat chakra. And I can tell you that, what you created, the field that you created by the people and the love and the intention that was there and the prayer that was there. I went on, and I'm not being in comparison, but I went on another trip to Egypt earlier last year. And when we went into the King's Chamber, it was straight chaos. Like it was chaos. Beautiful chaos. Like it kind of found its way into finding a place of resonance and harmony. And I stayed in the King's Chamber for a long time and sang for a bunch of different people when they got into the sarcophagus. But this time, immediately when we went in and we started toning, it felt like being in heaven.
Yeah.
It felt like the resonance and the harmonics and the individuality and the coherence, like all happening at the same time. I mean, I have goosebumps
Me
just
too.
thinking about
You're gonna
it
make me
because
cry again. I can't even think about it.
And I could have lived in there forever.
Me too.
Because it felt like, oh my gosh, this is it. And your intention being all about the throat chakra and the specific mission that we were there to fulfill for ourselves and the prayer that we were holding for the collective. I mean, it manifested. And there was something significant, that changed for me, being in the presence of that experience and receiving, the activation that I did. Egypt is has been such a, hard to even put into words. Like you're just never the same.
So what did you tell Aubrey when you got back?
I didn't even know how to explain it. I mean, to be honest, those experiences, they're so transcendent. And I mean, my big activation I had in the King's Chamber, I was so out of body, to really
I witnessed
to try to like put it in a box with words just feels almost like dishonoring in a way. So I did my best, but I mean, the part that I loved so much was just the beautiful family that you brought together.
Yeah.
And I think that the coherence of what was able to come through.
We've already had two kind of reunions, and we're about to have the third.
Totally, yeah.
I know.
It's like the vibration that was able to come through our voices because of the beautiful family that you created that just had so much resonance was like, yeah, it was so profound. And I've also loved, you just gave me your book, Philomath, that I'm so excited to geek
By
out
the way,
on.
I did not know this about Vylana, but she was like quite the calculus master back in school.
And back in school, I took AP Calculus in high school, and
She loved it.
I
Like,
loved calculus. I used to tell my dad if I could just do calculus problems for life, like I would be rich as fuck. Like that's when I was that young. Like that's what
They're
I
going to
thought.
send you
I'm
to
like,
Wall Street with that.
What am I going to do with? I don't know what you're supposed to do with calculus. I was very
derivatives trading and things like this.
Yeah, no, I didn't go that direction, but I really, really loved math. And so when I met you. And the first time we met was actually when you did your podcast with Aubrey, and I was about to go to Delphi.
Yes.
In Greece. I'd always felt called to going to Delphi, and I won't get into that story, but we had a really amazing conversation and just talking about
doubling the cube
and the mathematics of how, this math that you're creating has so much to do with music and harmony and resonance and all of the things. So I'm excited because, what I did at the beginning of this podcast, that just happens intuitively. It's different every single time. I never know what it's going to be like. It's really just like dropping into my heart, listening, and then just, letting it be what wants to come through, but to actually also be able to sort of understand the mathematics of things that already happens intuitively for me. I would imagine it would just sort of expand, my own capacity, where it's kind of like all channels are really aligned in like an expanded way. I'm so excited.
Yeah. No, I remember when you went to Delphi and you went to the Temple of Apollo. And I was like, oh, you're going to go there? Because I haven't been yet. And, each of us is doing different parts of this collective activation. There have been thousands of people that have gone to Giza and done many of the different activations that all have played their role in this, raising of collective consciousness and
For sure.
awareness.
And even prepared for the next people that are to come. They're
Exactly.
doing work that's preparing for people
right.
they don't even know that are coming
That's
to do
right.
the next one. Yeah.
That's right. And then, here we went on the last trip, we went to Abu Rawash, which I kind of had this whole thing last night. I haven't said it anywhere yet, so this is the first time I'll say this, but when I was filming Codex Season 2 about 2 weeks ago, I'd met with the management at Gaia. And I said, you guys better get ready, because I have a feeling that they're going to announce that where we predicted the next chamber would be in the Great Pyramid, because here we were on December 12th. It was Orion portal. And I didn't even plan that. We were going to go originally in November.
Yeah.
And then it happened to be on the date that there was the first occlusion or eclipse of Betelgeuse, the star, ever, and it happened on that day. And maybe it's happened in the past, but it's not in recorded history. And then now we're seeing in the news that they're predicting the imminent explosion of Betelgeuse.
Yeah, that's what Matthias was saying.
And everything is showing up as Orion now. There's even a new Netflix TV, like a movie, called Orion in the Dark.
Wow.
Which is just classic. It's like showing up everywhere.
Yeah.
But, and then when we went to the pyramids that night, I was like kind of complaining to Muhammad, and I'm like, can't we get a gobo somewhere that'll have Orion logo somewhere on it? And no, you can't do that at the pyramids. But the universe did it for us, because
right outside
it
the
was
door.
standing on top of the pyramid right when we walked out. It was like, are you kidding me? Like literally standing on top of the pyramid. And, what an amazing experience that the entire thing was. And it was all about throat chakra. And we come back, and I'm filming Gaia and filming Codex Season 2. And all of a sudden, I go to the bathroom after just 5 minutes before I had a meeting with the management team. And I'm informed of an article that got published by the Egyptian authorities that are in Egyptology, announcing, and it was written by a fellow by the name of Jean-Pierre Houdin, announcing the discovery of the throat chakra chamber.
Wow.
Exactly where we said it was going to be on Codex Season 1.
And this is in the Pyramid of Giza.
It's in the Great Pyramid of Giza, and it's above where we were. We were in the King's Chamber, which is the heart chakra.
Yeah.
So now they've discovered that there's a new grand gallery that I call it the Magnum Opus Gallery.
Wow.
And it's almost the same size, approximately, as the current Grand Gallery. So imagine a whole nother structure way above it that's as big as the Grand Gallery.
Wow.
And it has the same, angle of ascent, 26 degrees approximately. And it goes straight to the throat chakra line that Da Vinci left, which then means that just dramatically increased the chances that Da Vinci's other predictions, which are 2 lines at the knees, 1 at the ground level, right? And then 3 more in the head. So there's 1 behind the nose, there's 1 at the forehead, at the brow, and then there's 1 at the top of the head as well. Those are all likely undiscovered chambers.
Wow. What was the guardian of the pyramid that you introduced us to?
Oh, that's Ashraf Mui. Yes, he's like, yes, that's it. No, that guy.
Yeah. If you ever go to Egypt and you have an opportunity to meet the guardian of the pyramid, he's one of the most epic human beings of all, epic storytellers of all time. Literally had me bawling my head off, laughing in tears, because he's so epic and hilarious.
He's the director general of the Giza Plateau, and also, obviously that's the biggest job you could have inside the ministry, without being the minister himself. But also he's on the Ministry of Antiquities and the Supreme Council, and he's also just a great guy.
He's so funny.
He's a great guy. So I had a chance to spend time with him. They closed the pyramid around lunchtime on the last day that I was there. I stayed longer than everyone else. And I brought Shervin with me as well. And I got to show him the Alpha Omega on the sarcophagus. I got to show him all the stuff on the walls in the Queen's Chamber and the King's Chamber. And he was like, whoa, like mind blown. And, why hasn't it been seen until now? Well, because it wasn't supposed to be seen until now. It's like, why did Dolores Cannon talk about people having geometry in their auric field? If we have geometry in our auric field, that means we also have music in our auric field. Right? Because geometry is the music we experience with our eyes.
I love that.
And when we think about how beautiful this whole concert is of everybody on earth, this to me is another manifestation of the divine and how perfectly it all comes together. And when you realize the purpose of all the pain and suffering we experience in our lives through this series of softenings, and we start waking up to the notion that maybe the things that we thought were most difficult were the greatest of teachers.
Yeah.
And that turns lead into gold.
Yeah. That's the alchemy.
And that's the alchemist's path. That is the magnum opus. And the throat chakra is all about that. So, I believe that the pyramid is a reflection of our level of consciousness. So them actually, coming out and saying, yes, there is a chamber there at that line is a manifestation of our collective consciousness now raised to the point where it will show up.
And it's ready for that, yeah.
And it's ready for that. And so I think we're going to start finding the others, the ones that are at the knees. So the groin is already, there's a line at the groin. That's the subterranean chamber. But there's one way down at the knees that's going to be probably 250 feet, lower even.
What is the Queen's Chamber would be?
The Queen's Chamber is right at the solar plexus.
Okay.
Yeah, so each one of these points are chakra points.